Lesson number 4 doesn't really have any new work. Again, just like on lesson number 3, your numbers are getting larger. You're starting to have more x values on either side, and you use the same strategy that you did previously. So again, I'll just do example number 4 to get you started, and then I'll move right into lesson number 5's new work. So on lesson number 4, we have x plus 2 plus 2x equals x plus 12. So you'll notice I have only two numbers that do not have x's behind them, so those are my number blocks. Everything else is going to be an x. So I'm using craisins for my x's. So I'm going to have an x and two x's, so that means I'm going to have three x's on the left and a 2 block, and an x and a 12. So 1, 2, 3 x's and a 2 block, and on the other side an x and a 12. So I have x's and number blocks on both sides. So what I want to do is I want to find the side that has the least number of x's, which is this side. I'm going to pull all of my x's down, and if I pull down on one side, I pull down on the other side. And now I also have number blocks that are the same, because it's always easiest if I can just have my x's without a number block equal to numbers on the other side. So as long as I can pull those down, that will make it much simpler to solve. And now I can see that for this one, my x value is 5. So for lesson number 4, on problem number 4, my x value is 5. To do my check, I have to move everything back up, and then I have to see how much I have. Well, over here I have 12 plus 5, that's 17. These are each 5. 5, 10, 15, plus 2 is 17. So my check for this one is 17 equals 17. Lesson number 5, new work. Beginning with lesson number 5, you're going to stop seeing just all addition signs, and there's going to be some subtraction signs. So subtraction here, here, and down here on this one on both sides of the equal sign. So the thing that is different is that we're going to be subtracting. So instead of putting up 4 x's and 2 x's, we're going to put up 4 x's and we're going to take away 2 of those x's. We aren't going to pull them down. We're going to take them totally off, and they never come back. Then I set up the rest of the problem the way I normally would. So it's going to be 4 x's, and I'm going to take 2 of those x's off, plus a 4 block equals x plus 10. So I start with 4 x's, and then it says take those away. So notice I'm moving them totally off. I didn't pull them down. Don't pull them down, because those x's are not coming back. Then I had a 4 block, and on the other side of the equal sign I had an x and a 10 block. So now I solve my problem the way I normally would. numbers and x's on both sides. Start on the side with the least number, pull down, pull down. I'm left with some number plus 4 equals 10. Well, I know that number is 6, but I want to show you, remind you of a strategy for solving a problem when it's not so obvious. I can pull x's down on both sides of the equal sign, but I can also pull the same number value down on each side of the equal sign. So if I wanted to make this simpler, I could replace this 10 for two number blocks that have a sum of 10. And I want to use a number block that has a 4 in it. So I'm going to say 4 plus what number gives me 10. And then I know that 4 plus 6 gives me 10. Now I can pull these number blocks down. And then it's really obvious that my x value is 6. You probably didn't have to do that to figure out that your x value was 6, but I want to talk about that here where you have a simple problem, because sometimes when your problems get more complicated, that's something that will help make the problem easier. And so we're practicing it here when we have a problem that's not so complicated. So my x value is equal to 6, and this is problem number 4 on lesson 5. And now I have to move everything back up to do my check. Those two x's that I took off, I do not put back on. When you subtract and take away in algebra, they do not come back on for the check. So my x value is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 is 16. Over here I had 10, plus 6 is 16. So on my paper, 16 equals 16. So your new concept for lesson number 5, once again, is when you have takeaway, they go off and they never come back. I'm going to do one more here. Excuse me, I put the answer in the wrong place. We just did number 1. So we're going to go down and do number 4 right now. This is what number 4 looks like. X plus 2x minus x plus 7 equals 4x minus x plus 2. So I'm just going to do this one side of the equal sign at a time. I have an x plus 2x, so I'm going to put those on. X plus 2x. Now it says take away an x. So I'm going to take one of those away. And then it says plus 7. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Mrs. Porish, couldn't I have just put on 2 x's to begin with? Because I can see that 2 x's plus 1 x is 3 x's. Minus an x would be 2x. Yes, absolutely. If you could see that right away and it's really obvious to you, go ahead and do that. But if you need to put all of them up there, like I'm going to do right here, I'm going to get 4 x's. I can even use that one I just took off. And then it says take away an x. So I'm going to take off that 1x. And then I had a 2 block. Now, before I start solving, I can see that I've got numbers and x's on both sides. So I'm going to trade this in for 2 blocks, and one of them is going to be a 2. so that I can pull those 2's down. So I'm going to take this totally off, and I'm going to trade it in for a 2 and a 5, because 2 plus 5 is still 7. So I'm still going to start with my x's, find the side that has the least number, and pull them down. That's going to be this side. I've got 2 that I'm going to pull down, so I'm going to pull 2 down on this side. Here's a number block that's 2 and a number block that's 2. So you can see my problem now is very simple. My x value is 5 for this problem. So x is 5, and you would be doing these in pencil. I'm just doing these in pen so they show up better on the video. And so now I know 5, 10, 15, 17, 5, 10, 15, 17. So my check is 17 equals 17. So that's your new work for lesson 5.